Good evening. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to A World Awakening. My name's Erin Bush. I am filling in for Miss Andrea again. Right now, she is in Arizona joining the Rathmans at the Vulture City Paracon. So she's out there, flew in yesterday. She was really looking forward to the event today. But I know she is sad that she couldn't be with us tonight. We've had quite a couple of week to 10 days. I live in St. Augustine, and we were throttled with rain for Ian. So fortunately, we only received, rain, lots of rain, 3 days worth of rain, and mild winds. And we didn't deal with any of the devastation that South Florida is currently facing. So wanted to send my love and energy to friends and family that we know in that area who are dealing with unimaginable amounts of devastation. And I say that because I obviously recently lost my dog. My husband travels quite a bit, and so he wasn't able to get back in town to kind of ride this out with me. So I did my first hurricane, quote unquote, by myself. I didn't have any other actual humans with me. But my point in telling you all of this is one of the biggest gifts I think I've been given since I started working with Andrea and in this community of amazing people is I might have been physically alone, but I was getting phone calls and text messages, Facebook messages, people just checking in. You doing okay? Do you need anything? And I've really made such an incredibly close knit group of friends in this past year. And I know as an adult female, we all really struggle with that. We have what's called the sister wound, and it goes back since the beginning of time. So for me, I never really understood the importance of having female friends really until the last couple of years starting on this path. And I've really been fortunate. And so I was really lucky last weekend, with just the constant stream of love and support. And my guest tonight is my very dear friend, MoonGirl, Sarah Garcia. She and I met in Vegas at Para-Unity last year in December in a bathroom. And I think I discussed this about Michelle Roos as well. The bathroom was the hotspot for all of the hangouts in the casino for the sensitives because the energy was so intense. We were all just exhausted. So I met MoonGirl and Glenda Dawson sharing a chaise lounge in a bathroom at the MGM Grand Casino Conference Center. So we were all so tired. We didn't really get to know each other very well. We were really in there trying to just recuperate. And so fast forward a couple of months, I get asked to chair the metaphysical committee for World's Largest Ghost Hunt. And Glenda at the time was the co-chair. And then Glenda needed to take care of some other things. So she stepped away, and I asked MoonGirl if she would be willing to step in as my co-chair because she has so much experience in the paranormal field. I mean, this girl is a paranormal investigator. She's an incredibly gifted sensitive. She's got just about as many clairs as you can come up with. I've got her bio here. So let me give you some of that information. She is a psychic medium. She discovered abilities and has been connecting with spirits since she was a child. Her abilities include clairvoyance, which is the gift of sight, clairaudience, which is the gift of hearing, clairsentience, the gift of feeling, clairempathy, the gift of feeling others' emotions, claircognizance, gift of knowing, clairgustance, gift of taste, clairaudience, gift of smell, and clairtangency, gift of being touched. She's also a gifted empath. She's also an incredible divination reader. She does tarot, and she does all kinds of different, more obscure divination practices that I find absolutely fascinating because they're just not things that you see all of the time. So it really brings a different spin to how sensitives get their information, how they're interpreting that information, what tools they rely on to interpret that information. And she uses things like bone, shells, tea leaves, runes, toothpicks, crystals. So she covers just a huge spectrum of different types of divination tools that she has used throughout her life to tap into spirit. So she's also an actress. She does, I believe, some directing as well. And she has become a very dear friend of mine. I've leaned on her quite a bit the last couple of months, and we've gotten to know each other really well. So without any more word rambling from me, my friend MoonGirl. Hello, Sun.
Hey, I love Erin, first of all. She's amazing and she's super talented. I'm just so happy that we became friends,
Me too.
really good friends. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you on. That's what I love about being able to do this is, we get to bring all these fabulous people that we know on to talk about whatever the hell we want to, which is great,
Yeah,
And we're all into the same stuff. We're all in the same like merry band of weirdos. And so
we are
I
the
just
weirdos, sure.
we are, and I love it. In the South they say we don't hide our weird, we just put it on the porch and give it a sweet tea.
Yeah.
I don't know about Texas. Texas is probably similar because you're still in the South.
South
But
Texas.
South
Howdy.
Texas. Our girl is in Texas. So welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
of course, first things first, let's get into the same question everybody asks. I think is so important because, all of us not all of us were born into our abilities or knowing them at an early age. And so for somebody like me who started really late, it's always fascinating to talk to somebody who has always had these abilities because these are just things that a lot of us as adults are learning where these are things that are just innate to you. They're second nature to you. And so if you want to give us as much of your kind of how you figured this stuff out, when you started dealing with this kind of stuff and how it kind of pushed you into doing all the amazing magical things you do now.
Well, I always struggled being a child because I would have a lot of sleep paralysis and astral projection. And being Latina coming from a Hispanic household, and they would be very Catholic. I would tell my mom and family, I'm like, oh my God, I can't move. I feel something on me. They would always tell me, it's a dream, you're dreaming, it's a dream. Or I would tell them I feel something on me, or I would see stuff, feel things, touch whatever it is. And it got to a point where, they convinced you as a child, but after so many times, you're like, there's no way this is a dream. I'm old
Right.
enough to know and recognize this is not a dream. I can see things or feel things that other people can't. And it was a long process because they really didn't fully believe me till I was a bit older, really older. I kept seeing this really scary demonic, and there's a big difference between a ghost and a demon. And this was a demonic thing in my room every night. And again, they wouldn't believe me till one day I went to school. My grandma and my mother went to my room. They were attempting to go to my room to put some clean clothes away. And they saw this huge demonic shadow lunge at them.
Oh boy.
And my grandma being very Hispanic, she always had like holy water. She had like in her boob and so like the little bottles. And she
Yeah.
just like, oh my God. And they
Hi,
never
Dios
questioned me
mío.
again.
Right.
They never questioned me again.
That had to be nice, like so validating too. So you're trying to rationalize that as a little child. And that to me, I can't even wrap my brain around that because, like Michelle, who you know quite well, she also gets a lot of the darker side of things. She jokingly calls what usually like what I would get is love notes, like the nice, oh, grandma says hi. You know what I mean? It's more of that kind of connection. I don't really see any of the, darker stuff,
Yeah.
but you do. And so does she. And that's a totally different kind of line to walk. And
Uh-huh.
you've got to be glowing bright yourself as a light to be able to walk that line.
Well, I get both, but it's just very interesting that the first thing I really remember, again, being a small child, is the sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that just comes to mind
Yeah.
versus seeing things or whatever. Again, I can't remember as much being five, whatever, but I would always remember the sleep paralysis. And it
Yeah.
was very terrifying as a child and trying to convince my parents, look, I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. I felt something on me. I opened my eyes. When I was able to open my eyes, and I saw something, and it was really, really hard to convince them.
Oh, I
And I
bet.
even felt like, oh my God, I'm dreaming this almost all the time. But it was very scary as a child,
Sure.
not having anybody to confide in, who took me seriously. So that's why it's really important for me to be like a beacon to anyone who's new to spirituality, especially the younger generation, because I know how it feels not to have the support because I have to
Right.
do all this for myself
Yeah.
all these years, and it
Yeah.
was it was pretty it was intense, and I'm glad that have thick skin because this was kind of crazy. It was
Yeah.
definitely kind of
But that's the thing. I mean, you've always been, you know, when we were doing the committee stuff, I mean, you were always the first one to jump in and offer help and advice. And I think that's so important because especially with our group that we had, there was a good mix. You had, you know, several sensitives like you that have been sensitives their whole lives. And then there were several of us that were much, much newer. So I know I always felt better having somebody like you with that much more experience and knowledge. And especially as an investigator, I mean, you've done so many different ends of the spectrum that there's not really anything I couldn't ask you about, I don't think at this point that you would, you know, wouldn't have some knowledge on, you know what I mean? And I think that's really important that you're willing to offer that to other people because not everybody is.
Um, when I jumped into this, it just kind of like snowballed into something much, much bigger.
Yeah.
So really, what really started from that was, of course, seeing things, feeling things as a child. But I always tell people turning 12 was the turning point, no pun intended. Of course, you're a child when you're 12, but it was really like night and day. I was 11 playing with toys. As soon as I turned 12, this is why I totally believe in reincarnation. I was hit with all these memories and I did not feel like a child anymore. I
Yeah.
really didn't.
Yeah.
So it was really easy to fall into divination work. And back in the day, because I'm 37, so you know the internet and stuff, you know, was
Yeah.
kind of, you
That
know,
wasn't part of
getting
our
there.
childhood so much. I'm 43. So yeah, I remember those
You
days.
know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And also being a kid, you couldn't really get, you know, get your tarot cards and stuff. So me and my best friend at the time, Michelle, and I'm still very good.
Oh, I think she froze. Let's see if she hops back on. Let's give her just a second. MoonGirl, if you're able to see me, you may want to try and go out and then see if she can come back in. And what we'll do is once we get her squared back away, we will do some evidence. So she does a lot of her evidence posting and a lot of her social media on TikTok, which I am not a TikToker. So she has a lot of her evidence that she posts on her different ghost hunts and investigation events that she's invited to straight to TikTok. So she did give us several videos to show, and we'll be able to do that hopefully when she hops back on here in just a minute. She has some internet issues sometimes. But I've always been, since I've gotten to know MoonGirl over the last couple of months, I'm constantly kind of blown away by the things she picks up on, how she does what she does, tea readings. I mean, she's been teaching classes lately too on divination practices. So she just does a lot of things. I mean, her tarot readings are absolutely amazing. So we'll give her another minute and see if she's able to hop back on here. In the meantime, while we're waiting to see if MoonGirl can hop back on, I figured I could go ahead and talk to you all. Most people who are following Andrea or the Conjuring House know that there is a Halloween event at the farm. And it's going to be, I believe, the 28th through the 31st. There's going to be several different options. There are investigations. There are daytime tours of the house. There were 2 watch parties of the Conjuring movie at the farmhouse with Andrea. I know the one on October 30th is sold out. I do believe that Jacqueline Nunez, who's the owner of the farm, released a second date for, I think, Halloween night. So last I checked this afternoon, there were still spaces open for that event, as well as for several of the tours and the investigations. But it will sell out quickly. So that is going to be Halloween weekend. I'm going to be going up there with her just to kind of be her Girl Friday. And she's also got some filming that's happening the day after Halloween. So we'll be staying up an extra day before we fly back on November the 2nd. So I'm really excited. I have had a bucket list item since I was a kid. I grew up in the South. So I've always wanted to spend a fall weekend in New England. So this ticks several boxes for me between, you know, a childhood bucket list and then obviously as a part of the paranormal community list. I'm just really excited to be able to get to do that with her. So you can get all that information on the website, which is www.theconjuringhouse.com. They're also updating the Facebook page pretty regularly. with that information, how ticket sales are going, things like that. So if you're interested, you're in the area, you're planning on being in the area, and you're looking into that, I would check that out sooner rather than later, just in case, because those tickets are going fast. And she'll be there for the weekend. So it's a really neat opportunity, and I'm super excited. I'm having to find warm clothes because living on the beach, I don't wear shoes much. And I think she must be having some serious issues. I'm going to try and message Bill.
She is having serious issues.
Is she?
She's still not back, but I'm looking forward to meeting you on the 30th.
Oh, the hot mess that is Aaron Bush.
Well, I think we're going to have a lot of fun at the farmhouse.
I do too. I'm super excited. I mean, when we were there, is this you've been before, right? Or is this your first trip?
I've never been there, and I've never met Annie yet.
Oh, you haven't met Andrew in person yet either.
I'm really looking forward to this. But it's going to be a crazy weekend because I know you're going there. What day did you say you're going to go in? The 29th?
We're flying in the 29th. Yeah.
On the 28th, Scott Allen, host of the Paranormal Project.
Mm-hmm. Love Scott.
A friend of mine, Al Santoriga,
mm-hmm.
myself and someone else are going on a paranormal investigation to a house that's nearby, and it's been featured on Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, I mean. And so I'm doing a 5-hour investigation.
So you probably can't tell us where that is yet until it's done.
Not until Scott gives me permission to put it out there. No.
Smart man. I understand that completely. And I love Scott.
Scott's great. And it's going to be featured on one of his future shows. So we're going to do a lot of filming and recording and getting all that. And then on Saturday, we may do something again local. And then he and I will follow each other out to Rhode Island to go to the farmhouse on Sunday morning.
That's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. We were there the last time. I think we did the tour inside, the day tour. And then we walked the property for probably like another hour. But to be there at night, for one, I'm just interested to see, because I know it's a completely different house. And then to be able to experience it with Andrea, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, in my opinion.
I'm going to bring equipment anyway, just in case. I have to be prepared.
I'll tell you what, I really would love to get a chance to do Estes method. I've never, ever been able to do that.
But do you know exactly because you just mentioned that they're going to show the movie. Is that also on Sunday night, the 30th?
They originally were just doing it on the 30th, and then that sold out. So I think they're doing a second night on Halloween night showing of the movie with Andrea there. So we'll basically be there the whole weekend.
Well, I think I'm going to pull Cody, and I don't know if Satori wants to take a venture out there either, but I want to go into the woods. I want to go out at night into the woods with my camera that can pick up the low light resolution with it. And I just want to go out in that darkness into those woods and just see what's out there.
I'll tell you what, I had an interesting, and I'll send you the video. I took video of the woods because Julie Griffin took us back. Happy birthday to Julie Griffin, by the way. It's her birthday.
Happy birthday, Julie.
But she walked us back into the woods as far back as we could go before you really needed like a machete to get through the trees, all that. And so, walked over the bridge, took some pictures, whatever. This is probably Sarah messaging me. Oh, maybe not. So we were walking back, and I'm like, I'm going to film it because it's just so pretty back there, all the ferns and the trees and everything. I went back and watched it when I got back. There's like no sound. There's no bugs. There's no birds. There's no sounds of being in the woods. And I was like, that you can hear my feet obviously crunching things, but nothing else.
I've had that experience in Dutchess County nearby at a place called Nuclear Lake. And
really?
I am not kidding. What I said, I kept saying it, was it's devoid of life. There was nothing.
It's weird, right?
But I may, because where I was at, there was a nuclear accident like in the 70s. So I'm thinking maybe the animals still detect some kind of radiation in the area, even though they claim they cleaned it up and it's safe and everybody can go back because the Appalachian Trail is parallel to the lake.
Right.
But it's true. They can sense things.
Oh, sure.
And if you had that vibe going on there, there's kind of a connection because this place is known for activity.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious because the night that they did. It was dead air. It was Ken and George show,
Yep.
and they had the live feed going on from the house. And Cody went out there, and he says, "I'm seeing a light." You know, there was things going on in the woods. Now, I want to definitely experience this whole location because everybody I speak with, they say they have some kind of thing go on.
Yes, it's weird out there.
But in the house too. But I'm saying, you know, the whole prop.
My fascination. It's interesting because I know Ken. Sorry, Sarah's asked me to resend her the link, so I'm gonna try and resend it to her. My fascination is the land. I feel like I've seen an elemental or two. I feel like walking the property, but I know Ken was trying to do at the live stream last year. Was really wanting to do some geological experiments. Hey, she's back. But he didn't get to do that because the weather was so bad. So I'm hoping that maybe this year he's going to get to. I'm going to text him and see kind of his plan is to, because I love the land.
We're gonna hang, and if you wanna, because like I said, I'm gonna have all the equipment. I'm bringing extra equipment, so we'll find us. You know, we'll find time to go out into the woods and venture, and we'll drag Cody and a few others. Yeah, we'll get a little team going outside also. But anyway, have a great show to both of you. And,
thank you.
Welcome back, MoonGirl.
It's not the first time. This happens to people often. I know it's happened with several of Andrea's guests over the years, so this is not unique to you. So don't worry about it.
Joking, so I was like, no.
Well, why don't we go ahead and do the videos just in case? You seem good freezing now. That way Bill can run those. So I figure what we'll do is he'll run them, and then you can kind of give us the backstory. I gave the audience basically kind of, you know, that you do a lot of your posting on TikTok, and I'm not a TikToker. I don't need another social media addiction. Two's enough. So I just to let people know that these are videos that you're posting on your TikTok, and you get some really cool stuff. So Bill can cue those up whenever he's ready to go.
You want to move it for me again? Move it for me again, baby. Precious angel. Move it for me again. Come on. Move it for me again. I know you're here. Guys, he just moved this. Move it for me again, baby. Come on, precious angel. Move it for me. Steven. Show me you're here again. Come on, Steven. I know you're here. You showed me you were here. Come on, precious angel. You're an Aquarius. I love that. Aquarian little god. Move it for me again, baby. Come on, move it for me again. Steven. Move it for me. You just moved it for me twice. Move it for me, Steven. Come on, precious angel. Thank you, honey. Thank you. You're moving it for me? I'm about to leave, so move it. Move it. Good boy. Good boy. Thank you, Steven. Thank you.
So the backstory on that one, I love going to cemeteries, but I don't necessarily go do investigations in cemeteries because, full disclosure, there's nothing there. Once in a while you'll find something. But if you do find something, the majority of the time it's because people go do witchcraft there, so they've summoned stuff. I've actually gone there and ran into somebody while they were doing things. So it's very rare that you'll find something. The backstory on this is I did not go there to do an investigation. In fact, we went to go film. I was helping on a set with a movie doing sound. I wasn't even going to come on the movie. The sound man was sick, so I said, okay. This was a few hours past Houston, Texas. It was really cold, very cold. It was not windy, and you could see around there. If it was windy, the leaves would have flown up and stuff like that.
Yeah, nothing's moving.
As soon as I get there, I'm instantly drawn to one side. And obviously I have to go do my work and everything. So once we're done, I keep walking towards where I keep feeling drawn to. Well, unbeknownst to me, there was a cemetery within a cemetery. And that's where the babies were. So there were so many like babies and all these, you know, there's toys and stuff. And it's really sad. But I felt really drawn to that one in particular. I had no idea why. I just felt really drawn to it. So I just, went over there and just like, okay, well, why? And I looked at the birth and everything, and it happened to be an Aquarius. And I'm an Aquarius, Pisces cusp. I was like, oh, well, maybe that's, whatever. And as I was like talking to him and stuff, I asked him to move the windmill, and he moved it for me twice. And I was like, oh my gosh, he moved it. It's like, I'm just get my phone out. Again, I'm by myself. Everyone's, having lunch, eating Taco Bell at the cemetery, okay? While they're done filming, yes. So I pull out my phone and I ask if he can move it, and he moved it for me twice. And I thought that was just so sweet.
Yeah.
And I did not want to leave. I felt so bad leaving, but that was something that was like on the fly. I was not going with the intentions of investigating. I was going there to basically be sound person for a movie we were filming.
And it was in the middle of the day.
It was in the middle of the day, yeah.
People
assume that ghosts only come out at night. No, that's not just kidding. No, but anytime. And that was a very special, I don't know, I got really like emotional, I guess, because I'm a mother. Yes. And I felt some type of way about it. But
well, you can hear it how you're.
I felt guilty leaving, but it was very. He felt very sweet to me, and I was very surprised because again, you will hardly ever find any spirits roaming around. Once in a while, you will, but you hardly will.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the story on that.
Love that one. All right, what do we got for the next one there?
I heard something. I heard noises of a woman in a town. Jim, was that you? Jim, was that you who made that noise or were watching something? Did you hear it? It sounded like a woman, a scream, and like a noise. You heard it, Deborah? No. Okay, Jim, turn on the light, please, because that was really creepy. I heard a slap. Jim, are you coming out? I heard slappings. Did y'all hear them? Jim, come turn on the light, please. Thank you. I got you. I just want the light on. Thank you. I got you. I got it. I heard a woman.
There's so much screaming in that.
We do a thing where does MoonGirl sleep? Not with who, where. No, I'm just kidding. And we go see. Not that kind of show.
That's the later night crowd.
So we go stay. I like to go stay in haunted locations alone. So we were in a jail. Shout out to Lavaca County Jail. Deb and Lisa, I love them. They were awesome host. And again, this is about like the second largest jail in Texas. Again, like 3 hours past Houston. And we went there, and very proud. I was the very first woman to ever spend a night there by myself. Besides the other inmates. So we went in there, and that's just a little bit of it. We got so much stuff there that night, a lot.
I bet. So, based off what that clip is.
The caregivers were staying in a little bungalow next to the jail. And then the cameraman was like way downstairs in like an actual room, and now he slept upstairs. And I heard so many things. And it was a co-ed jail. Okay, so there was, this hence the woman.
Right.
And prior to that, I had heard, in another video, happy moans, whatever.
Right.
Whatever. Again, co-ed jail.
Right.
Yeah. So that part in particular, like we basically put a blow-up bed, and I was up there And they just put the camera up for me. They left, and I was just like, okay, cool. And I had done like a reading prior to that. So I'm on the live kind of giving people readings and, again, doing divination, whatever. And then we're like, okay, well, we're going to turn everything off and I'm just going to chill and see if we find anything, hear anything. So I heard the woman yell, and that was not a happy yell. It was not a happy moan. But yeah. And if you pay close attention, because I actually just noticed this not too long ago, you also hear other yells. And that's the only one I had ever really heard. And I heard tapping and slammings and stuff throughout that night. And one thing that really scared me was because when you go, and I don't get really scared easily, but as you're going upstairs to the jail, you're going up these stairs, and then I was right in the middle, right? Several times I heard footsteps, but it wasn't just like going up and down. Like a few times it was up and down. Other times it sounded like they were running, like they were about to lunge at me. Like, so in another video, you hear me saying, stop it now. Like, because it actually did feel like a group of men were going to just lunge at me.
Like running
and
at you.
that kind of did, like, that kind of just, I needed to put the brakes on that one. I was like, oh, okay, no, just stop it now. And in another video, you would see that some things were opening and closing throughout the night. A vent was closing and opening and closing all night long. And I felt a lot of activity in my head. It really felt like a tornado was going in my head. You will even hear in the video, like, my head hurts. Because I felt constant. I felt like somebody was just or spirits just going over and over on my head the whole night. And that was definitely an exciting night, to say the least.
I would say. Well, I mean, I could hear even just probably 5 or 6 screams that I could account for.
And slammings. And mind you, those doors are very heavy.
Right.
They're immensely heavy. So not just anyone can just, they're immensely heavy. So we heard the slammings too. It was a pretty wicked night.
You're braver than and we've talked about this. I have almost zero, basically, let's call it zero investigative experience. I've done like one private investigation. Everything else has been events. I'll be honest. I don't know that I'm cut out to be an investigator.
The ones you've done have been amazing, and you've done it with really good company. Okay, so
that's true. But the lights were on.
She's amazing, guys.
Oh, thank you. All right, I think we have 2 more clips he's going to show us. So we'll see what he pulls up next.
One might be a ghost watches me sleep.
Spirit that watches me at night. Was that you last night? Flicker the light. Oh my God. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Guys, I can't sleep at night because I literally wake up feeling somebody watching me. And this is just telling me, and by the way, it's not raining or anything outside, so there's nothing going on. But I know there's something that watches me, and I just caught it right now. No one's here turning on the light or anything like that. See, no one's here. Just me and my baby back, Sebastian. Say hi, Sebastian. Bye.
Okay.
So that's at home?
Yeah, the backstory on that is, well, first off, let me start off with saying this. All my life, I thought, like, oh my God, what a coincidence. Everywhere I move, it's haunted. Like,
Maybe it's the person, not the place, right?
Yes. So, and then I realized as I got older, no, you dumb bitch, it's you. Because I talk to myself because I'm crazy.
I do too. We call it's a staff meeting.
It's a staff, exactly. VIP. So, I always, no matter where I live, I end up picking something up or there's some sort of activity. So the backstory on that is I was about to move, but my apartment wasn't ready yet. So my dad had this little cottage behind his house. So he was going to let me, stay there for like a month or 2 until the apartment was ready. Mm-hmm. As soon as I moved in there and got in that place, I instantly felt like really like heebie-jeebies. I felt something. I didn't know what it was. I really didn't. And as we stayed there, there was still boxes and stuff everywhere. I was really scared of the back door. And there was a kitchen in the back door. I woke up a few times because it sounded like somebody broke into the house and was going through the boxes.
Oh.
So I kind of woke up with my sons, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, I think somebody's here. I doubt it's my parents. It's kind of
Right.
late.
A little late for that, right?
Yeah. So I got up. I had like had like a little weapon. Don't judge me. I had like a little knife, like
You
a
have an axe
kitchen.
handle by the door, girl. You get no judgment from me.
So I was like scared. I was like, I wasn't even thinking spirits, ghosts, demon. No, I was like thinking it was like a legit
Attacker.
person who broke into the house. I didn't see anything, and then there was in the kitchen there was 2 windows, and they both had blinders. One blinder, mind you, there was nothing on. Like the fan was not nothing, but only one of the blinders, and remember, they're both like this, was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I was like, what the and I saw the doorknob,
Right.
and I was like, well, I really thought it was somebody, even though it was a little fence, so anyone could jump over it, But still, I was like, oh my gosh. And I looked, and there was nothing there. Nobody was in there. So this happened a few nights. But then there was different events. Then the door started opening by itself and closing by itself.
Oh,
Lights would turn on and off by themselves. But what really scared me was when I'd be laying in bed, I would feel the presence of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, it was for sure a man, and it made me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like I wouldn't say like a rapist kind of vibe, but it felt very hostile.
Creepy. Yeah. Yeah.
It felt very hostile that, of course, when you're sleeping, you're kind of comfortable. You're in your nightgown or whatever you sleep in, whatever. I felt so uncomfortable that I had to like kind of cover myself. I felt very violated. I felt like someone was just staring over me, where it just felt so ugly that I couldn't sleep. I really couldn't sleep. I really felt like peeping Tom, creepy Ted Bundy vibes. Something like I felt like somebody wanted to hurt me.
Yeah.
So that video that we took, me and my son were there, and I was like, I just kept feeling something touch, like being on me and stuff like that, and viewing me, looking at me. So I was like, turn on and off the lights if it's you. And then boom, he flickered on the lights. And it was kind of creepy. It was creepy. I was very happy to leave.
I bet you were. Good God.
I felt like I could not sleep. I felt like this man was just hovering over me, looking like if he wanted to hurt me. Yeah, he never hurt me, but it was. Ugh.
Well,
yeah,
energy doesn't lie. When I went to Flagler College, which is one of Ponce de Leon's, one of Henry Flagler's old original hotels when he started moving the East Coast Railway down into Florida. So we lived on the 4th floor of this old hotel, and every time we get out of the shower, that vibe you're talking about. Now, this is well before I was into any of this stuff, didn't know anything about it. I knew the place was haunted, but hadn't had a ton of experience. But same, every time you get out of the shower, and nobody can see in because 4th floor, that's the top floor. There's
yeah.
But it's that, like you said, it's that vibe. You just felt like you had to immediately like we wouldn't even get out of the shower before grabbing a towel. It's that same violated is a good word to describe it. But one day I mentioned something and I said, I don't like it. I don't know what's happening here. And we got a face in the steam in the mirror. So it was a man, but that violated feeling is
especially as a woman, it feels bad. It feels bad. I had other experiences, and it's funny because I get asked a lot, what's your creepiest experience? And you would think I'd say, oh, at an event or blah. No, actually my weirdest experiences have been like at home, personal experiences that didn't have nothing to do with, being filmed and shit like that or putting on a show.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just like something that organically happens. Many years ago, I had moved to Corpus. So my son was very young. He was about 1 or 2, and I had my baby too. And he would cry a lot if I went to shower, but I did not want him to be in the shower with me because I was scared he was going to touch the toilet. Mind you, we also had a potty, and it would only sing music if it tinkled or pooped, whatever.
Right.
But he hadn't even used it yet. He was still small, but we wanted to, get him going.
Yeah. Start him young.
Yeah. So he would cry when I would shower until I opened the door. So I was there taking a shower, and he was crying and crying, which is normal because I know he's scared. He wanted to be in there with me. I hear him giggling and laughing, and he's like baby talk, and I hear a man's voice. It was, their dad, my then husband, what's it called, talking to me, and I was like, we're having a full-on conversation. Like, okay, cool, whatever. This was many years ago. We only had like one cell phone, so when either I had it, he had it, so there was no way we can talk to each other.
Right.
And I get out of the shower. He's not there, so I'm assuming he just came for lunch or got something.
Right.
He'd come home, and I'm like, so you came for lunch? She's like, no, I wasn't even here at all. So I was having a full-on conversation with whatever this was.
Oh,
and vice versa, because I would drive back and forth from Corpus to like where I'm at in Harlingen. And so it's a few hours away.
Yeah.
He's in the shower. He would have a full-on conversation with me, thinking that, okay, I guess they got here. He gets out. He sees that we're not there. So he thinks that, okay, maybe me and his mom and the kids, we went to go get food. We're like, no, dude, we're like still 2 hours away, bro, or 1 hour away. Like, what?
It's like that
So
type
it
thing.
was very creepy. And that potty would go off constantly, singing all the freaking time. And nobody was using it. He never even used it. I ended up throwing that crap away. But what really freaked me out was like, I'd be like, look, potty, or whoever you are, I would call him the potty. Please, not while I'm in the shower. Don't do a little music thing. And on purpose, like clockwork, it would do it when I was in the shower. And speaking of violated, I was like, give the towel. And it was, I want to shower in like a bathing suit. I felt so
same thing.
It was so scary. And we had like their toys would go off constantly. And back in the day, there was like, we didn't have the flat screen. We had like a normal big TV. So we had this huge, what's it called? Entertainment center.
Yeah.
I'm like only 5'1". I'm like a person McNugget. I'm barely a person. This thing was like 6 feet tall. I couldn't reach the damn
you need
thing.
the step stool to get to the top.
I would need like a chair and then like the step stool, okay? Like,
with a phone book on top of that.
Yes. And hope that I don't fall. And we would try to like throw it up there because we were scared of it, because this caterpillar we had would only supposed to say the alphabet and like 1 through 10 or something, and only if you push the buttons.
Right.
That's all. This thing would go off all the time by itself. We even took off the batteries and we threw it up there. So no way the kids can get it. And also it was kind of like, I was scared the kids were going to throw it at each other and hurt themselves. So I was like, just throw that thing up there. So this thing would just go off in the middle of the night by itself, not even with the damn battery. It was really creepy. God. The fire alarm, which was new because we had moved, so they had just put it in there. It would go off. We weren't cooking anything. In fact, it was late at night. That thing would go off too. We told the manager, he's like, listen, we just switched it, but we'll switch it for you again. No matter.
Didn't matter.
No matter.
Change battery, didn't matter.
Another creepy thing is, in the middle of the night, this happened a few times, which really tripped me out. I was sleeping. I heard noise. I saw, my then husband standing up, messing like with the dresser or something. It's like late. I'm like, what the hell is this dude? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And he kind of didn't really acknowledge me. He just kind of like did. So I didn't see his eyes, but I saw the side of him and just kind of going through stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? So then I kind of yelled his name. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And I looked like this, and he was laying in the bed. I don't know what that was. Whatever that was took on his person, his
like that
body.
Doppelganger
thingy.
Yeah,
definitely one of those. Nope. And the same thing, he said that happened while I was asleep, laying in bed, and he saw me messing with like some makeup stuff, and he's like, what the hell is she messing with makeup in the middle of the night? And he yelled out my name. Same thing, he saw my hair and stuff. Then he saw me, and he was really scared. He was a water sign, so he was petrified, and he starts yelling, kind of thing. And I was like, dude, I told you, I saw the same thing with you. That was a really creepy place. Well, unbeknownst to me, those apartments used to be a hotel. And we were first in one apartment, then we moved to a bigger one. And there was some that were burned down right on the side next to us. So I never really figured out what happened. And to be honest, I didn't really want to start a pot because my kids were so young at the time. And I was scared they wouldn't be able to tell me something. So I didn't even want to go there because the kids were being that young. But it was a really creepy, that was a really creepy place. Fast forward years later, we still kept the caterpillar because I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah. If they're connecting, why get rid of it? You know, it's a good tool for later on if you need it.
So we ended up moving back, and we had that caterpillar with a bunch of other toys. My eldest was like in pre-K or something, and we start hearing it giggle, which it had before, and it's not supposed to. And we're like, what the hell is what? We thought it was like a random toy. No, it was a stupid caterpillar. And we hear it, it's like stuck on the letter L, and it's going L, L, L. Then it giggled and L, L, L. And I'm like, L? And we're like, L, what? L for what? And then we said my son's name. My son's name is London. And right afterwards, the school calls me, says, you need to pick up your son. He was in an accident, London. And after that, I said, I threw that thing. Although I wish I would have kept it now. But at the time, I was kind of upset. So I was like, oh, hell no. Yeah. So that kind of, it was creepy. I think it kind of followed us for a while.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. And again, it's a brand new toy, so I don't see it being like an imprint or, you know, haunted. So I think it was something from that apartment that we're at. So those are like personal ones that were, to me, creepier than going and doing events and stuff like that.
Oh, agree. Yeah. And I think we've got one more there to show. I think we have one left, I think.
Can you turn on the flashlight for us again, please?
Do you have that other flashlight that I loaned you? Let me borrow that.
This one, here we go.
You can have this one.
Oh, okay.
That one. Take that one. We're going to put this back here. This is...
Turning on the flashlights now. There you go. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. Thank you for turning on the flashlight for us. There's nobody there, guys. See, there's nobody there. Thank you so much. You can turn it off now if you want. You can turn it off if you want. Thank you. She turned it off. It's off now.
It's so nice. Which I love.
That was in Twin City Opera House. Shout out to Sam. That's the man that was with me. He was an awesome host. He's I think like a caregiver at the Twin City Opera House. Also another really talented paranormal investigator. So hi, Sam. Well, there's a lot of, he's very nice. There's a lot of like history in that. I've never been there before. And I usually get messages a day or two, or even on the day that I'm going to go investigate. Like, I don't really like knowing the history of it because I don't want it to like disturb me. I don't want to know what you heard or you think there's somebody passed there. I want to go organically. Organically, because not only that, like also the history could be wrong. Just because somebody said it happened here, it actually happened over there, which has happened before, you know? So, I kept hearing the name like Edwin or Edwin, I think it was like a syllable off in another female's name. And it kept getting burning and burning. So some things that I told them about this when we went to the sub, because there was a basement in the sub basement. I kept hearing those names. I told him, these are the names. And he goes, you want to try again with the Edwin or something like that? I can't even pronounce it. It was another name I've never really, like, I think it was off by one syllable. And that was the name of somebody who was a known ghost there. And I had no idea that opera house had burned. And they even showed me like the burning part, which I have pictures. We had a lot of crazy stuff there. As soon as I got there, I ran to the back of my phone doing little lives and stuff. And there's these big curtains and they're very heavy. And I felt a really creepy feeling. I felt somebody there watching me. And those curtains are heavy. It started moving and swaying by itself, just where I felt it. It was really creepy. But that part there that you saw, we went to the basement and the sub basement. And we kept asking the little girl who was there if she could turn on and off the lights for us, the flashlights. And she did several times. And it felt really sweet. Yeah. It felt really sweet. Although I did see something there behind another investigator when we had, there was a part there that it felt like a portal. I felt like things kept coming in randomly. And I saw something that looked like a humanoid to me on its hind legs running behind one of these ladies. Not right directly behind
Oh
her,
boy.
but that was the part that was kind of, there was some good things there. I feel like there was a woman there, and then I saw that, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I was like, whoa, yeah. I think that when we went into the sub basement and there was another room, I think we heard the ghost call. I think he said a bad word. I think like slut or bitch or something. And I thought it was kind of funny because I'm like, I've been called worse. Thank you. But
Hit me with something I haven't heard already in the last week or whatever.
Well, unbeknownst to me, there was a woman there who had a child out of wedlock. So back then it would have been frowned upon. Or he could have just been calling me that, which is fine.
You never know, right? Right.
I guess. Both of us killing two birds with one stone. But yeah, it was but it felt kind of sweet when the light was, with the flashlight. I got good vibes from that at least. But yeah, that's one of the things there. That's the story with that.
The fact that you're willing to go and sleep in these places by yourself, for one, is just astounding to me. So kudos.
Oh, man, I would love to. I also slept in a catacomb. That was fun.
Oh God. So what? Okay, then I'm going to ask the typical cliche question. Favorite place to go? Not necessarily because it's scary, but like, what's your like a place that you love going because the vibe's good or the spirits or whatever? Like, do you have a favorite?
Place I would love to go. A place I haven't gone, but I would really love to go would be Penhurst.
Oh, yeah.
But I know how I am. I'm such a crybaby, and I've always had like a special spot in my heart for, the mentally impaired and stuff like that. And so I know when I go, I'm just gonna probably not even have makeup on because there's gonna be no point. I'm gonna look like,
just gonna tear off.
Yeah. So
I feel that way too.
I'm gonna cry a lot being there, but I would really love to spend a night there by myself, at least in one of the buildings. Maybe someone could be over there or someone can film. I don't care, but that's a place where I would really like to go. But I know emotionally it's gonna like really mess with me. But I'm definitely willing to go. It's something I've always wanted to do. I got this really cool. I was interviewing some people one time, and I interviewed Susan Slaughter, another amazing paranormal investigator. And I didn't even think of this. I asked her, where would you like to, if you can investigate anywhere? And she told me the pyramids. And I was like, holy crap, yes. I mean, not just spirit-wise, but like connecting with like ETs or anything else like that. I was like, that is amazing. And I'm stealing her idea. Sorry, Susan. But that was an amazing, answer. And I would totally be down to do that.
Yeah. I love all things Egypt, but I'm like you. I was supposed to go to Tala back in earlier this year, and we were ready to go. I paid for it, and I was going to make the drive. It was like a 16 hour drive to Tala from where I'm at. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, I think as a newer sensitive, that would have been my first official investigation. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I could do. One, because I also have a soft spot for, anyone who's in prison, mentally ill. Like, take your pick. Anybody marginalized, disadvantaged, especially back then. I mean, Jesus, you could get thrown in one of those places for having your period, for God's sake. So that to me would have been overwhelm anyway, I think, like you said, because the amount of, that's like the St. Augustine old jail. I can't go within 50 feet of it. It's so oppressively sad and depressing. It's just one of those places. But Tala, I got to thinking about it because it was going to be an overnight. And then we had to leave like the next day to drive back. And I'm like, I know what an energy suck a normal haunted small place is, like just a normal house with a couple of friendly ghosts that, because that still could suck you dry energetically. But a place like that, that's a whole different level of chaos that somebody like me would not have been prepared for. Like, I think I made the smart call to not go. Somebody like you who's been doing this forever is great. But that's, I think, the thing for people is, especially as a sensitive, if you don't know what you're doing, which you do, you have to be very careful in places like that.
Absolutely. And again, if you're like, biased and you have a soft spot for certain things, no matter how good of a medium, psychic, sensitive, whatever the hell you are operating by heart. Yes. So that can disturb things. Because I know myself, I know I'd be like a shit show. I'd be very emotional. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I have water. I'm an Aquarius, but I have water in my chart. I'd be like a total crybaby, like completely like It would be horrible, but I still want to go. I still want to go.
Girl, if you do that, I will happily stand outside and wait for you to come out.
Fill me through
Because
like
I'm a sissy. I'm a sissy. I just know myself well enough to I'm not ready for that energy. Like I haven't, that's another thing I want to talk to you about. We've talked about this some, just you and I, the importance of protecting yourself. And I'm not saying from evil. I'm just saying from other energies that aren't living that because they need a power source. And those of us who are walking in that world more than others, it's like we glow different, so they're looking for a source of energy. Not that that's bad, but it's just they'll have to peel you off the floor if you're not watching yourself, grounding, protecting, and that kind of thing. And I know that's something, especially with your divination, that you do a lot of work with. And that I find that fascinating. People do so many different things to protect and ground themselves. And somebody like you who does so many different things, you've got to have lots of different techniques or preferences of things that you do before and after investigations.
I don't like to do any protection spells or anything like that prior to the investigation, because that's going to kind of like defeat the purpose. The point of going on the investigation is to get activity or connect. Sure. So I don't want to do that at all. And afterwards, if I feel very drained, or if I feel like I might have a hitchhiker or something like that, one thing I really love doing so much, even when I'm not doing investigations, if I had a horrible day, had a bad day, or you just run into people or the energy's off, whatever, I love, firm believer in spiritual cleansing baths. I feel so much better afterwards. Yeah. I really do. I love my spiritual cleansing baths. That's probably my favorite thing.
So what does that look like for people who aren't familiar with those? Because again, that's another thing that is different from person to person too. So what would you recommend people do when they're trying that for, maybe their first time, just as a starter?
Well, again, it can vary from a person, how personal you want it, personalize it. But to me, basically what I put in there is the Epsom salt, sea salt, bay leaves to overcome obstacles. I put palo azul, not palo santo, although I have put palo santo too, even though you're supposed to burn palo santo, you can still chip things. Palo azul is basically like a tea, and you boil it to drink it to absorb, to like detox. I still like to put it in there, because a piece of ginger, you could even put like your favorite crystals in there. You want to put like smoky quartz, even clear crystals, because remember, you're the crystal girl. But if there's any crystals that you need and you don't have, you can always substitute it with like the clear quartz.
Yep.
Put some sage in there too. You could put Florida water, which we talked about. There's all these other waters and spiritual oils that you can do. I make a bunch of my own oils as well, so I will throw the spiritual oils in there. And I kind of do like a little meditation in my tub, and I kind of just ground myself. And yes, ladies, you're gonna have to get your hair wet, okay? All of it. You're gonna really have to get
talk about it, baby.
Yeah. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Right.
And I'll light again, a black candle. This is also for protection, even though yes, people do like to use it for dark work. And yeah, you totally can, absolutely. But you can also use it for a protection. Sure. So I will light a black one, and I will put some crystals in my tub, and I will soak in there for a hot minute. And I really genuinely feel a whole lot better. Yeah. And if you want to be fancy, get like a wine glass, no judgment here, whoever drinks.
A charcuterie board if you want one, just like whatever it is. Completely pamper yourself,
Absolutely. Why not?
So let's talk
and that really helped me, at least.
That's a good one too, because you make a really good point, because when you're going in to investigate, you don't want to close off any energy that's
not at all
coming in, right? So that's a really good thing for people to think about as well.
Although they've never
asked, because everybody's different, and I love learning that kind of stuff.
They've never really gotten violent per se with me, spirits, either in personal, maybe once or twice, and I'll get into that. But like on investigations, like one of the places we went to, again, I never even heard of a bunch of these places. I didn't even hear, because I want to go blindly.
Yeah.
So we kind of road trip to this one jail. By the way, ladies, if you ever go on like investigations, don't wear your fishnet stockings because the ghost men there haven't seen a woman in a hot minute and they will pull your pantyhose down. Trust me. I have it on video. I
You had
have
a couple of issues with pantyhose, if I remember right, on that trip. Did you not? Because of the fishnets with the ghosts? Yeah.
Yes, because they're very curious. So they haven't seen a woman. Whatever. Go at it as long as you're hurt. But
Right.
there was one place we went to, and again, we got there kind of late. So we only had about 5 minutes to kind of do a little walkthrough.
Yeah.
All I knew about this place is that it had like a padded room. So I was like, I want to go to the padded room in the jail and like pick something, So again, unbeknownst to me, I go there. We only have like 5 minutes. I'm kind of filming myself. I go to the first room. I'm like, I didn't feel anything here, but in the second room here, I felt instant like hands grabbing me, like shaking me, but not like in a hurting me way. Like, oh my God, like acknowledge
attention, like hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, whatever. And I have it on film saying, I feel something here. Next day, when we're actually getting ready for the event, I'm taking a shower and I see these big man fingerprints on my arm. And I'm like, what the hell happened to me? Who's been manhandling me?
Like, I didn't drink last night.
I know. I was like, I was so, what? I'm single. There was nobody touching me. I was like, what the hell is this? And I remember, it like light bulb moment. I'm like, oh yeah. Well, I remember being touched there. Well, guess what? When I arrived there, unbeknownst to me, that room was the padded room, but there was no padding. It was just metal walls.
Oh,
I was like, ooh. So that's what it was. So yeah. And again, I had no idea. I was really literally looking for padded walls. Like I really was. And that was the one time. But again, I don't think they were trying to hurt me. They just wanted my attention.
Yeah.
Now in personal life, one, which it's funny because I shared this happened last year. And we were having a meeting with the co-chairs of the world's largest ghosts and stuff like that. We had a meeting. I kind of brought this up because I hadn't felt this. I had been having a hard time sleeping. I would wake up feeling like I was being choked.
Yeah.
And I would even wake up kind of like, oh my God, out of breath, coughing. And I just felt like, okay, maybe it's a dream. So it had been happening for a few nights. And then one day I'm going to like put my makeup on and stuff like that. And it literally looks, and I have pictures, like somebody was choking me. You could see a thumb here and the rest of the fingers right here. And it looked like older bruises. It kind of looked like old hickeys. I know it wasn't
those. You said I've seen them. Yep.
Yes, I did. And I was like, oh my God, I thought I was dreaming or something or whatever. But yeah, something had been trying to, choke me. And I did a little cleaning ritual and then it didn't happen again. But yeah, those are the only really I guess I would say where I got kind of hurt. Other ones, they've been mischievous. Like I have a thing where I do like to sleep with when I was younger, I really loved sleeping with my covers on. I was scared that something would touch my legs or whatever. And I remember being like 14, like, get over this, Sarah. Like, no one's going to touch you. You're like, you're an adult. I'm 14, right? Whatever. Like, you're an adult.
14 going on 28, right?
Yeah. And I uncovered my legs and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I kid you not, something pulled my big toe and I yelled and I was like, oh, F this. Like, I was like, I'm covering my feet. So it was kind of mischievous. It wasn't like trying to hurt me, but I thought it was kind of funny. I think about it, like, damn. Like, yeah, so those are kind of my touchy experiences, I guess.
And that's what's interesting too. I mean, you have, and I think this is probably common for a lot of sensitives, is with the clairs, most of us have more than one. Some of us have more than 5 or 6. Some of us have a little bit of all of them.
Definitely. And I mean, it's just a fancy word to say that you feel shit in different ways.
Yep.
Fact. Just a fancy way to say it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people can feel things, either your clairaudience, you hear things or whatever. You can taste things, you can smell things. Sometimes you will see a full-on apparition. Other times you will see them, which freaks me out when you see them solid, because I have been confused when I've seen them solid before. That kind of threw me off. I really thought it was a real person. Other times, you can tell they're like a spirit or whatever. Or you will get touched somehow, or you just know something, basically without knowing. And so it always depends on how everyone's gifted though, but how tapped you are into your gifts.
Well, and I think too, Would you
Go
say
ahead.
spirit decides? Sorry, ragweed is like crazy, so my allergies, it hits the nose itching. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm still recovering from being sick. That's why my voice is raspy.
So it's like I look like I'm doing anyway. But I think
the 80s anymore.
I know. But we've talked about this too. Like you could be in a room with 4 or 5 other sensitives, and we may all get similar information, but we may all get it differently.
Exactly.
Which I find fascinating because I feel like spirit keeps us on our toes that way too, because you might get used to, your heaviest or most relied upon clair might be clairvoyance, and then all of a sudden they're like, not today, homegirl. It's just interesting that they send it to us differently. And you're right, it is basically it's almost like you're more finely tuned to start with. But I'm with you. I think everybody has abilities. We've just all been taught from a very young age that if you can't assign one of your 5 physical senses to it, then it must not be real.
Yes. But what I do love, like when I meet other sensitives or mediums or psychics, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, it's kind of like, what can you do? Oh, I can do this. I can do that. Oh, cool. Like, oh yeah. Like kind of airhead moment, like it could be kind of airhead. So like, how cool.
But it is. I mean, we saw that with our committee this year. I mean, we spent basically an hour to an hour and a half almost every week for several months getting to know each other, and it was exactly like that. Oh, you can do this, or you can do that.
It was a lot of fun. It was fun. Getting to know everybody, and everybody was, very gifted and talented, and very nice. So that was really nice, and I loved getting to know everyone's little like gifts and stuff. It's the comparison, and again, like it's kind of like when you do divination, you can use one divination to clarify another divination. So this is the same kind of thing. Like with one gift, you can kind of clarify the other person's gift. Yes. If that makes sense.
It does.
And then we just kind of put this whole puzzle together, and it's really rad. I think it's really cool.
Well, and it's cool too because we have a group of people that we'll probably stay in touch with, and I think that's just building out that network of people that you can talk about this weird shit with. It's not weird to us, but it's hard to find people who are, one, supportive of what you're doing, as we
absolutely.
Two, people who are willing to have these discussions and get deep into it and really like kind of hash the stuff out. And then 3, like you said, what everybody's abilities are. And so for you, I think it's important to tell people like what you're offering. I mean, you do all kinds of stuff. And so given that you're on the show, like I want people to understand the badassness that is MoonGirl with all the different things that you do. I mean, like give people kind of the skinny on, what all you offer people that they can come to you for.
Well, as far as like divination, again, I've been doing divination work since I was 12. I'm 37. It's been a hot minute. And like I said, it kind of all really started off with tarot, doing my own little, they were horrible looking cards. They were just literally made out of paper. And we're like, the Fool. And there's just like a picture of a hat or something stupid. Like it was just very... like I said, we were like 12. We couldn't get tarot cards. We definitely couldn't get a gift for my mom to get them for.
Right. Hey, Mom.
Ouija boards out of wood pallets. Her mother was very supportive. She was like a hippie, and I just love her. She's like always been like a mother to us. So she's like, sure, here's a wood pallet. Y'all can do another seance. She's amazing. I love her so much, dearly. And so she didn't really care what we did. She was supportive. She's like,
that's
girls,
awesome.
y'all can do that. So it kind of escalated to other divinations. I do bone readings, I do shell readings, I do tea leaf readings, I do coffee readings, I do, what else do I'm trying to think, toothpick readings,
runes,
crystal divination, ruins, obviously the tarot and oracle, so I like to do obscure, I guess I'm more known for my obscure divination, in other words.
Which I love, because that's the methods that you're using, and you also do this in investigating, you're much more coming from an old school mindset than like the tech. Like I love that about what you do, because you're tapping into practices that not everyone, A, is familiar with, B, that people are using, and C, I feel like it's just different. It sets you apart from a lot of other people, right? I mean, you do tarot, you do that kind of thing, but your divination readings are so unique, I think, compared to a lot of what people are used to seeing.
Yeah, I even read the damn clouds, Erin.
I support that, girl.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
one thing I do like doing on my investigations, I do like, besides the equipment, I like doing divination work. Like I will literally do a reading on a haunted location to see if
I
I
love
pick
that.
anything up. So I will do either like a bone reading or a shell reading, see what kind of energy I'm going to walk into, or, you know, a tarot, whatever it is. When I do
Yeah.
my investigations, obviously you use equipment, but honestly, I prefer going as the medium and going there with I feel, because I know
Yep.
it's organic. And I
Yep.
know I don't have to, like, in a sense, put a show on, but I totally understand why people want to see the use the equipment, because I mean I could tell you I see a ghost till I'm blue in the face.
Right.
And mind you, that's cool. Some people will believe you, but unless they're visually seeing the lights and the glitz and the glamour, then they're like, okay. So in a way, it's good too, because you know you kind of get confirmation that what you're not
Validation.
not crazy,
Yeah.
and you're not, you know, bullshitting people. You know
Correct.
what I mean? But as far as like, I like old school equipment. I like my dowsing rods. I still have like my, what is it, Radio Shack little radio that I mess with. Seriously, I'm not even joking.
See,
You know, those.
that's the OTUs they're finding is the older radio sets. I mean, some of those like old school recorders are worth a fortune because
Yeah.
they're old as shit, but they're the best thing out there that they can find that's somewhat reliable.
And there's so many like equipment out there. Some of it's like really fancy smancy. And I'm horrible at tech anyways, girl. You know this, obviously.
CC's tech, run away. So when
Like
you
somebody
go,
else.
if you go to a place and you roll up and you're going to do divination, do you basically have a toolkit you kind of take with you when you go all the time, or do you select a few things? You do.
I do when I'm gonna go do like events or something. Depending on, like, if we have to do a flight or something like that, I won't take everything with me.
Right.
Just because if I have like a mat or something, in which I've already kind of messed up, but some of my mats and stuff I kind of use for bone readings and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Depending on what we're gonna do, I will take whatever I feel I'm gonna use. In other words, I guess.
Got it.
You know, like if there's events I'm gonna have a table or something, I will bring all my stuff or whatever, because it's easy. But mind you, sometimes when we do travel, we're staying there for longer days, or I'm gonna have to hop on another plane to go to somewhere else. And the luggage thing kind of trips me out. It's like too much. You know this. You travel a lot as well. So again, it depends on where we're going, you know, and how long we're gonna stay. But I kind of have like an inclination of what I'm gonna use. So yeah.
I think that's so neat. We have to get to a point where we can meet up somewhere and go investigate together. I just want to watch you do your thing. Like I just want to sit there and watch.
You have to do it with me. I'm gonna push you to do it with me.
I know.
It'll be a lot of fun.
It would be a lot, and but that's what's so neat. Like, in what other world would we have happened to have been able to cross paths? You know what I mean? Just because distance alone, obviously. But then to have our paths cross again, like months later, to do this.
Oh, that's so trippy.
Committee
Very
thing.
meant to be.
It was. Well, and it's just, to learn from other people, I find, is the most underrated thing in this field that I've come across so far. Because I feel like no matter who you meet, no matter what they do, no matter what their gifts are, you can always learn something from them. And I just wish people were more willing to keep learning instead of like leading with ego, for lack of a better way to say it.
Absolutely. You know very well that it's a very competitive field.
Yeah.
And both the metaphysical and the paranormal. And I was like, what about light and love? And it turns out light and love my ass, because you really do want to rule by ego. And you would think, okay, maybe this person has more experience, or maybe this person, you know, whatever, knows more. Instead of being like kind of hateful and jealous, you know, learn from somebody. Be like, hey, cool. So, like, I would love to, you know, learn from you if possible, or whatever. And, you know, believe it or not, some people are willing to want to help you.
Yeah.
Who are operating by heart, and who are wanting to like be a beacon. So, you know, instead of by, you know, ruling by ego, operating by ego, we should kind of let that down. You know, there's always, no matter how old you are, there's always going to be lessons that you're going to learn. You're always be growing. I don't care how much of a famous medium or psychic or paranormal investigator, there's always lessons to be learned. There's always something, you know, spiritually to learn, or whatever, or otherwise. So it's like, I mean, I really don't see why so many people want to be ruling by ego when it comes to this community.
Well, and it's there's so many different rabbit holes you could dive down with this stuff. I mean, I think obviously kind of getting tossed into the paranormal field like I was last year.
It was meant to be, though. It was meant to be.
It was. But I've been very lucky in the fact that I've met all these amazing people, and all of them have all been really, really nice. And they, they want to help you learn. They want to help you grow. I mean, people like you as an investigator and my friend,
But when you get with the right people,
exactly it. That's exactly it. And I just feel like, especially as women, it's so hard to find people that we trust and really can relate to. And I love that this is the thing that kind of joins us together. And what's great about it too, we're past the bullshit. Like, you don't have to deal with the small talk.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this community too, is you already know what you're going to talk about. You don't have to have the normal, so what do you do? How many kids do you have? Like, you just skip all that shit and get straight into the ghosty stuff. And
absolutely.
It's way more fun that way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love doing this. I really don't. I just don't see myself doing anything else for the rest of my life. I enjoy it immensely. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun getting to know new people, and doing this really beautiful friendship. You really do find your soul tribe. You really do. And it is, being older, it's harder to make friends, especially if you're a woman, because for some reason, some women tend to be very catty and competitive.
Yeah.
But, when you finally find that, that core group, that, your spiritual group, it's amazing. You really do have, like the song goes, lean on me. You really do have that support.
You do. And it's not even something that you necessarily realize were missing either.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, wow. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea all this was out there. I had no idea. So my brain is constantly exploding with, the nice people and just the things I'm able to like learn about and take advantage of, and you're teaching too.
Oh yeah. I'm also an instructor in University Magicus.
So give us some info on that, my dear, so people can sign up for classes.
It's like the real Hogwarts. It's like the real Harry Potter school. So there's instructors there, and they will teach you divination work and stuff like that. Magic and any kind of thing like that. That's a little bit more on the witchy side. Crystal stuff. I've been teaching tea leaf readings on there. Probably I think the next one I'm going to teach is probably like a flower divination. Again, more like obscure divination. So it's been a lot of fun, and you get to teach people who are, again, new to the spiritual community. And these are people of all ages. You will see older people on there because, again, not everybody is born with this, or their gifts are awakened till much later on in life.
Right.
And this is where it's free of judgment. No one's going to judge you like, oh my God, you're barely doing this. Or no, we're there, you take it easy. We're all learning. And it's very like, I guess I would say very like 101 kind of class.
Yeah.
Start off slow for everyone. And then kind of, so that's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying that immensely. Yeah. And anyone can come into that.
What we'll do too is I'll get different links from you for the classes, and then I'll post it on in the fan page so that people can see what the class offerings are, your website, all that stuff. Because I feel like that's the other thing too. Everybody who's doing these shows and in this field most of them are making a living doing this, or, doing this and working other jobs. So I feel like it's so important to promote what people are doing. And you guys we all work so hard on this stuff, the learning, the reading, whether it's just organically learning it as you're kind of crashing your way through it, as I sort of did. It was kind of like, oh, by the way, here's all the stuff you could do. Now you get to figure it all out.
Put it together.
But you need a soft place to land, because especially those of us who come into this later, like you said, you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know who to talk to. You don't know where to start. And you're certainly not comfortable stepping into it, right?
Yeah.
It's all new. So to have a soft place to crash and people like you to learn from, take classes from, and it really kind of helps you decide what's for you. What's your thing? What tickles your pickle, for lack of a better phrase,
Absolutely. Whatever keeps your pickle on, because you never know until you try. But I'm bummed.
Yeah. And you have there's lots of pickles, metaphorical pickles, of course. But that's what's so cool. I mean, you're an investigator. You also do acting. You do some directing.
Oh, I would not use directing. That's giving me more more of a type of Daytona. But yeah, I definitely dabbled with production what's it called? Managing and let's see, acting and writing for sure.
Do you have, of all the things you do, do you have a favorite of all of the things? And you could say no. There's no right or wrong answer there. I know that's a put you on the spot question. I'm sorry.
I do love everything I've done so far for different reasons. But one thing I definitely would love to jump more into would be the acting thing. Because I guess that's, I don't really feel like the divination and the paranormal investigating and the mediumship I just kind of see that as a extension of me, like a part of me.
Right,
because
right.
I've done this forever. And the acting thing I would really like to get. I really loved it, I was up for some main roles for some sitcoms and stuff. Unfortunately, Rona came and we shut down.
Everything.
So we would have to recast, and some things kind of just got out the window. But I really fell in love with the acting, and it's a lot of fun when I do get a chance to mess around with that. Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, the divination and the mediumship is an extension of who you are.
Yeah.
Acting is something you enjoy doing, and they are two very different things.
I enjoy doing those other things too, but I just kind of feel like
it's you by nature. That's just not something you had to necessarily learn. It's just what you are, who you are, what you do with that kind of stuff.
But I really loved being in around all the production and stuff like that, and helping people out. Like I've done also the sound, which was kind of interesting to do.
Oh, I bet.
I've been a producer on some stuff, and I've acted on some other ridiculous things.
But it's fun. I mean, and you're really into the horror genre, right? That's kind of
I absolutely love that. But believe it or not, I've also dabbled in Spanish. Well, because I'm very proud of being Hispanic, very proud of being Latina. So I have messed around with like some Spanish stuff, even by accident. I remember I went there helping. This is me helping with like sound or film, and they needed like an extra or something. They're like, jump in bed with this guy. I'm like, what? I don't even know. And they're like, they're like, well, you're an actress too, right? So get in there. And it was really funny because then the guy's like, oh, it was like this quick. I got you.
I didn't even have to buy you coffee first.
I know, not even,
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and got a little manhandle, but that's fine. It's part of
right? What are you going to do do you have plans? So we were talking before we hopped on the show with Bill. Obviously, spooky season is crazy for everybody in the paranormal field. Do you have plans for Halloween, or what you got kind of coming up?
I do have some. Well, I had an event I wanted to do in Wisconsin, which I've been there before at what's it called? Baraboo Inn, which I love that place. Unfortunately, the owner got sick. He had like a heart attack and stuff. So I don't want to bombard them with that, but that was something I'd already been there before. Al Capone used to hang out there as well. They're very sweet, very kind, very loving. That was something I was going to do, but I'm going to go to San Antonio and do some paranormal investigating there and just hop around there and then be back home to take the kids trick or treat.
Got to do it. You got to do it. Now, how far is San Antonio from you?
I am at the tip of South Texas. Okay. Like literally one foot is America, the other foot's Mexico. So I am really at the tip. So from here to San Antonio is about like 6 hours or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so I'll probably be gone for a few days, probably like 3 days, and then I would come back, Do
you like when you go do something like that, will you do a mix of like public places, like whether it's a jail and private? Do you do any private residence work as well?
I've actually done some private residence. I think one of my last ones was it was a girl, her grandfather passed away in the house, and they were doing some there's been some activity. So I went in there, and actually I didn't even use much equipment. I went there doing card readings and stuff, and we got a lot of information from them and from other family members through cards and what I was picking up. So I did do that not too long ago. This is probably the last one was a few months ago with residentials.
So you'll get like a good mix of stuff. You get a good mix of touring locations that are, you know, whether it's a public event or whatever, but you also do the
Yeah,
private residences as well. That to me, God, I swear these allergies are killing me. If I took a Benadryl, my face would be on the keyboard.
Yeah, I took cough medicine so I wouldn't cough so much, and I was falling asleep before. I was like, I'm gonna be like so knocked out when I'm there with
give me
Eric.
some toothpicks.
I know.
Because I think that's interesting too, because residences, that's a totally different ball game. Like when you're going to a jail or you're going, you know, like a cemetery or any of these other places that are like public spaces, that's one thing. But you start getting into residences and now you're dealing with people who are scared out of their damn mind.
And they were. One of the person who passed away in the home was very upset with a family member because the family member had taken some money. And he had money hidden in his home as well still, that he doesn't want anybody to touch. And he made it very clear to me, like, no, he still thinks it's his and it's his home. So he kind of let me know that this family member, he's very upset, and he knows they're the ones who stole the money. And even in the funeral, which I had no idea until they told me, while this person passed by the coffin, a candle flew at this person. And I'm like, yeah, it was G-Paw. He was not happy with this person who stole stuff. And we got a lot of information. We're asking him, because the family not only want to know about the house, but they wanted to know personal stuff about the family. Like, what do you think now that you're gone? Who's like your favorite and all this stuff? And what do you think about this or that? And he was not shy to be like, this person, I don't care if they're my child or whatever. And this person, I really cared for them, and blah, 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 blah. So it was really interesting because, again, I had no knowledge of any of this stuff. And he did tell me that he was going to make sure one of them got, in trouble and stuff like that, or got his payback, because he was very upset. Sometimes everyone thinks that, oh, when they pass away, sometimes they're like good and they're, some spirits refuse to move and some of them still want to hold a grudge. They really do. And he made it clear that he was. And not too long ago, this person he was upset with had a horrible car wreck. And they called me and they told me this, and I was like, ooh, I'm like, his grandpa's still mad. So it gets.
So when you're at a place, I find residential cases fascinating, and what I find even more fascinating. Sorry, I'm sitting in a very small chair, so I keep adjusting. When you talk about doing your divination while you're at a place like that, are you typically using tarot to help clarify? Do you use other kinds of cards, or do you typically use tarot cards?
It depends. Sometimes I have like this ghost deck I made on my own. I use that, and I'll use some tarot to clarify, or I'll take like my dowsing draws, or if somebody really wants to see like lights and glamour, EVPs or whatever, we will do that too. But honestly, I think that we got enough that we didn't even really need equipment. I think I have some of those on my TikTok as well. Some of the videos were kind of, some of it was rather personal, so I didn't want to put that up because I didn't want to. The way this person passed away was kind of personal. They passed away in the house and stuff, so there was some things I didn't want to post that were very personal. But you get the gist of it when you're seeing us doing that there, at least. And again, things I had no idea about that just popped out and stuff like that. So it's very interesting because they're very chatty. They are very chatty, and they will let you know exactly how they feel. Again, it's their opportunity, especially if they feel like they hadn't been heard or they passed away a long time ago and they never get that acknowledgement. The way I always articulate this to people is like, if you're at a barbecue with family and, unfortunately you have a heart attack or something and you die. So you're seeing your body there, you're seeing your family, you're trying to get a hold of them. They can't see you because, whatever. You go outside, you're yelling at the top of your lungs, somebody to acknowledge you, nobody sees you. Then we lock eyes and you're like, bitch, I know you see me. So then they're in my face wanting attention. Again, they're not trying to like hurt you or anything, but they're like, I want acknowledgement. No one can see me. You can see me. So obviously you know something, or you can help me in any way. And so that's what they do, basically. And then they're chatting. They tell you whatever you want, basically.
Well, and I think too, there's so much to be said for people who lead investigations with respect for spirit. Like, kindness and with the goal to help spirit more than just getting evidence for yourself. And I feel like
I don't like doing the aggression thing. I really don't want to go in there yelling and demanding this or that, because you can, it's one, it's disrespectful. Two, I mean, you can, get more than you're bargaining for, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And like they say, you can get more bees with honey than vinegar, and that's absolutely true.
Absolutely
Always
true.
compassion. Because again, at the end of the day, they just want some sort of acknowledgement.
Yes.
They really do. And
That's
again, if spirit or demonic, that's a whole different ball game, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a different ball.
But I think I think when I started understanding the acknowledgement side of things, I mean, obviously living in a haunted town like we do, people will come in just about everywhere. It's like Savannah, the city's basically built on its own dead. So I started noticing and telling people that, because, people find out what I do and, start having conversations and then they're like, oh, I had this experience and it freaked me out. And I'm like, listen, 9 times out of 10, they've been trying. They're like, oh, I got scratched. I'm like, well, it probably started off with like a tap on your hand, like a hey. And then you were getting it. So now it's like, hey, they're trying to just get your attention. Like you said, they want acknowledgement. And it's funny to see, once you explain it to people that way, there's like this light bulb.
They're like, oh,
being less scary. It's like they weren't trying to attack you. They've been like, if you've seen the TV show Ghosts, they do a really good job of explaining what it must be like for spirit to try to communicate with humans. It's got to be exhausting, right? So leading with integrity, with respect, kindness seems to go a long way. So of course you're going to get a shit ton of information. You glow differently for one. You're a nice person for two. It's just, I think you, like you said, you get more. What's the phrase?
you get
honey, sugar, vinegar, what?
You catch more bees with honey than vinegar, yeah.
But
if I'm saying it,
I think, well, it's closer than I'm going to get. But I think, listening to your videos, I mean, you're just so sweet and you're patient and you're kind. And I think that goes such a long way.
I think patience is definitely a key there. And it is a virtue, trust me, because like I said, we're always ascending, we're always learning. And patience was one virtue that it took me a hot minute to learn. A hot minute.
Well, you're a Latina and I'm Irish, so doesn't get much more stubborn and like, okay, let's go than that.
Yeah. So it's definitely a virtue. One thing I have not, and I've learned to temper my tongue, which is hard too. One thing I have a hard time tempering, which I probably will never master, which is fine, is the resting bitch face. I don't know if I can ever temper, like you will notice right away. I'm like,
but see, I don't see you that. I always think of you. We both have dimples.
Yeah.
We're like the dimples. All of us smiling.
Yeah. But when everyone, again, no one's perfect. We all have our moments where someone's like really annoying the living crap. I'm like,
oh yeah. Well, that's it. People are like, it's all love, light, and rainbows. Fuck, it's
I'm like, lighten up.
Some of the time. I always jokingly say until I get behind the wheel of a car. Love and light until I'm driving. And then I turn into a complete like Unikitty in the Lego movie, just like freaks out. That would be
oh yeah. Like I said, it's definitely a virtue, patience, and yeah, I think that they really cling to you when they know that you're actually mean well,
trying to do right by them. Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to get something out of them. Obviously you want to connect with them and stuff like that, but even if I didn't, I'm not someone who, like, don't get me wrong, obviously we go there to get evidence, but even if I didn't get the evidence filmed, I'm okay with that if I know I saw it. Or if I'm really into the investigation, and we're able to like communicate or help in any way. Like one of the last investigations I did, we didn't really even, they were filming stuff, but I didn't even really pull out my phone or anything because I was just so into the investigation, and we caught some cool stuff. We did. It was an investigation we did with a group I'm in, Ghost Hunter Girls, and we went to what was it? The
Old Park Hotel.
Mm-hmm. And we split up in groups, and me and one of the girls, we were in one group. In our last group, because they were like taking turns, we kept feeling this dark entity like right up on us, bothering us. It got some of the guests scared. I kept feeling a little girl there who was very scared, hiding in the closet. I said her dress. I said there was something with her teeth. And it's so funny because we're not talking to the other groups, the other ladies that are part of the event. So some of the guests said, "Hey, what you said, that's the same thing they said," even though they were in a completely different area and we couldn't talk. So it's just kind of funny you pick up different things. But anyways, my point is, they got scared. Even somebody went and closed the door because they felt like this thing was gonna come at us. We still kept seeing it kind of hovering like back and forth silhouette, even though it's dark.
Yeah.
And we kept asking the little girl to come out. We put those little cat balls that the only way they light
Yeah.
up is if you touch them. We're like, can you please touch them so we know you're here? We know you're in the closet. We already know. She lit them up for us and stuff, you know? And again,
Right.
we didn't even pull up the phone. We didn't even pull up the phone to be like, oh my God, you know, of course we're going there for the evidence, but it was
Sure.
not even in my head to, I want to record this just to get, you know, the evidence. No, I was just so into like, oh my God, this poor little girl, she's hurt.
Experience.
She was hurt by this person who, you know, did not very nice things to her, and now even in death he's still trying to, you know, be on her and kind of domineer her. So I was just more focused on trying to help this
Yeah.
person, this little girl, you know.
Yeah.
And the hell with filming it. I mean, I know we were supposed to, but I just didn't even care, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just, and our group saw it, so it doesn't matter to me. Our group saw it, they experienced it. I know we were helping. So that to me was more important than filming shit and catching stuff on film to show off to people. Like, look what I caught. Yeah, that's cool, but
Exactly.
catch stuff all the time, so I don't care. You know what I mean?
Well,
It
we're our
doesn't.
own best equipment too, as you know, if people understood the power they had energetically, and since, you know, if they were willing to open themselves up to that, you really are your own best
You
equipment.
are.
You know, it's but it's so hard to like trust that sometimes. And so, like you had said earlier, the validation a lot of times with some of the tech, it can be important for people. But I'm like you. There's times, you know, people are like, why didn't you take pictures? I'm like, I forgot. I wasn't thinking about it. You know,
Because you're just so into the thing. You really are. You know, you're like operating by heart and stuff. You don't, you know, I'm not there to like, obviously this is my job. I'm doing my career. I want to do it, but I'm not
right?
really there for like recognition, like, oh my God, because if that were the case, I mean, there's so many times where I did not film stuff just because I didn't even care. I was there because I wanted to be there and do these things. But you know, again, you're the Reiki master, so you know too how to like, you know, heal yourself and try to go in there with energy. And I think that that would be something really good for you to do, because
Yeah.
even from beyond, you can still kind of help people bring that light and energy when you go. And I think that's something that you can totally contribute when you go do your investigations. So
Oh, yeah.
I would do that if I were you, because again,
Well,
you're the Reiki master.
Well, I think that's, you know, one of the because we are going to the farmhouse for Halloween for the event. And I
Yes,
think
how
for Andrea,
exciting.
yeah, I bought my
Take
tickets
pictures
today.
and post them so you can piss all the haters off.
But I think the thing for Andrea too is obviously when you're walking into a place like that, and you've been into some seriously high places yourself, you just walk in and it's like this wall of just energy, you know, and it's hard to describe it to people who don't sense it the same way. But I think for Andrea too, it part of my what I help her with is keeping her energetically up, because that's,
It's
you know, you're
true.
at the farm, you're at your old house, you know, you're people, you know, empaths, as you know, we tend to get word vomited on. We get there and you didn't even know this guy in the corner 10 minutes ago, and now it's 20 minutes later, and now you know his life story. That's just kind of what elicits our energy, kind of elicits that kind of trust from other people, I guess. And it's like instant. And so I think for her, it's important to have somebody with her that can help her energetically keep her somewhat balanced.
Absolutely. Especially if she's going back to the place where she had, you know, all that stuff. They remember, trust me. So to have like that backup, someone who can kind of help her out, and because they will drain the living crap out of you. If you let them.
Yeah.
And again, depending on what your spirit or, you know, otherwise demonic entity, and those, you know, different ball game as well. So I think that that's something that you definitely contribute and help her with. So that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's what's
And
so great about.
I'm so excited for you to do this. Like I said,
to
post them, Erin.
As Johnny would say too, right? Yeah, I think that's what's so magical about
of the paranormal. The godfather of the paranormal.
Godfather of the paranormal. Such good advice that man has. But I think too, that's what's, you know, you get a bunch of sensitives together, and each one brings something different to the table to contribute to whatever the goal is, of whether it's, you know, like an event like we just did together, or if it's an investigation, or, whatever it is. We were all wired to do something cool. It's just a matter of figuring it out. And then, like you said, being around the right people to help you, step out into it and then embrace it and then be proud of being part of that community. Because I think that could be hard with this stuff.
It definitely is. And like I told you, to me, honestly, being around the right people is more fulfilling to me, and I have an amazing time. Versus I could go somewhere I really wanted to go, and if I'm around people who maybe I don't like their energy, or I kind of feel like they're mean people or something, I will have a miserable time.
Yeah.
Versus going somewhere down the street, just whatever, and you go with a group of amazing people that you love, or you at least respect, or you have some kind of a real friendship with. I mean, that to me sometimes is better than doing, events or whatever the hell that were these big things are. You know what I mean? So to me, that's more like being around the right. And if you can be around the right people while you do these events or these whatever it is that you're doing your job, oh my God, that's just
even better.
I love it. Perfect.
See this question down here from Lynn Sadler. I had a knowing my grandmother was going to die. What is this considered to be? I'm also an empath and very sensitive.
That she knew her grandmother was going to pass away.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people come to you when they're about, I call it the in-between stage. So something that I also get is people come to me either as a spirit or in dreams when they're either about to pass away or they already passed away. I had this happen with friends, my grandparents, even with celebrities. I've only had 3 celebrities come to me, only 3. Although I tried to invoke Yvonne Carlo, Lily Munster, she never came through, but I tried.
So keep trying.
So it's like the in-between stage, hon. So if you felt like she came to you prior to just maybe wanting to say goodbye, again, being in the in-between stage where you can cross to both spiritually and your body's still physically here. So she probably just came to, really talk to you, acknowledge, she's about to pass, or gives you the heads up that there's something going to happen. So that's beautiful. I like that. And you should be very happy that she did that.
Almost like a precognition. It's weird because, oftentimes we get information, but we don't have a point of reference for it as you're getting it. You just kind of like file it away. And so half the time it's like, I think for people to struggle, she was living when I had this happen, and about a month later she passed. So it's almost like some sort of like precognition, claircognizance. I mean, I would tell her to look up claircognizance. What do you think?
Again, the in-between stages, it doesn't even, there's not so much of a, well, I guess there would be a time frame on this. Like, for instance, my grandparents, when they passed away, this was during the Rona thing, and they had just been put in a nursing home, so we weren't able to see them. And I felt terrible because I didn't, they're older, they didn't know, I didn't want them to think we abandoned them. Mm-hmm. So they were there for a few months, and I kept getting my grandma coming through. And it was just really sad, but I knew she was going to pass. And just like her, it was probably like a month and a half that she had been coming a lot. And, it happened. And as far as like with a celebrity this is amazing for me because one of my personal idols is Walter Mercado, who is like the Liberace of the Latino community for spirituality, who I love very much. And I call him my fairy godfather. He's amazing. I drowned him 2 weeks prior to his passing. And he never spoke to me, and he was dressed in gold. And it was really, okay. I wrote this on my Facebook, and my other friends picking on me were making fun of me, joking about him. Like, I think he's going to pass. I feel, so I was like, fine, you guys. I just deleted it. And then 2 weeks later, he did pass. But in the dream, he came to me all dressed in gold. I was with my mother, and they were like on a hill, and he had like a group of people. And it wasn't fans because they weren't like fanning over him. They were like with him. Like, I don't know who they are. They were just a group of people. He was dressed in this beautiful gown. I running up the hill, and I'm trying to take a picture with him. My phone's not working, so my mom's at the bottom, like, take a picture with his mom, and she's having a hard time with her phone, so I'm trying not to be rude, but I'm like, Mom, hurry up, before he's away from me. Yeah, and it's just, I'm kind of like doing this thing face to my mom, like, come on. She's like struggling with her phone, and then he looks at me. He doesn't speak a word. He puts his hand on my shoulder, By the way, he had the most beautiful face. He was like 80 something at the time. No wrinkles. It was like this glowing, beautiful skin. He was just like, I was just so enamored of how a beautiful man he was, you know,
Yeah.
inside and out. The ultimate Pisces, his Pisces goddess. And he just kind of looked at me and he just kind of did like, don't worry, I'm gonna wait for her to take the picture. And we did. And I felt like he was handing something down to me.
Yeah.
I just feel it felt very like I'm gifting you with something.
Yeah.
And it was a very special moment to me because I grew up watching him and then the things I do. And then even more special because me and my grandparents would watch him together.
Yeah.
You know, and they were very like, you know, you better shut up in Spanish. Walter's on, and they'll throw chanclas at you and like, cállate, Walter's coming on, don't talk. You didn't talk about the horoscope. So it's even more special to me, I guess. So, and then I drowned him when he passed, and then much later, I think maybe a year or two, I drowned him again, but this time he was in purple, and we were in his house. And I was trying to find stuff, and he kept saying no to me. He actually did speak to me this time. Like, that's not it. This is not it. Then I gave him something. I can't remember what it is. And he spoke to me. He's like, in Spanish, he's like, yes, this is it. Whatever that was. So that was just kind of like, it blew my mind again, twice.
Yeah.
Another famous person I had was Bela Lugosi.
Mhm.
And also had this Mexican singer called Jenny Rivera. And it was, again, just out of nowhere. Because I wasn't trying to summon these people. And those are the only three I've ever had. Everyone else has been just, you know, family, regular people, spirits. But it was just very, I kind of want to say I was shocked about it because I was not expecting it at all.
Sure.
I really wasn't.
Those are the best, too, the ones that you're not expecting, I feel like.
And I have, like, friends who've passed away, and this is even younger. I had no idea. My friend had come over one day and she was looking through the yearbook with me and she goes, oh, and I said, oh, that's my friend so-and-so. And then she goes, oh, the one who hanged herself. And I thought she was joking as we're teenagers saying stupid things. I'm like,
sure,
whatever. And she's like, I'm like, whatever. And she goes, no, she really did. And I hadn't seen her in like a year. She was a dear friend of mine, but I hadn't seen her. And it really, like, I was like, oh my God, I felt so saddened by it. Yeah. And it lingered with me for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then she came to me in my dream. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that you passed. Like, oh my God, I'm talking to her in the dream. And she's like, yes. And then I saw her naked, and I also interpret dreams. That's like she was feeling very vulnerable at the time.
Yeah.
This happened to her, or, you know, whatever happened. Then this man comes and he gets her. He's like, we have to go. And I rip her. I'm like, no, you're not going. Mm-hmm. We're talking. We need to, like, talk about things. And I'm like, please don't go. And she looks at him and tells him something. And then she gets my hand. She's like, okay. So we talk a little bit, whatever. Then this man comes back and gets her. And again, me being stubborn, I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, no, don't leave. You don't. Then she gets me again and she looks me directly in the eye and she's like, Sarah, I really have to go this time. I really have to. And I just understood. Yeah. I understood. It was really sad. And I just kind of let go and I was like, okay, yeah, bye. But I needed that. You see, she had already passed.
Right.
So.
But you needed the closure.
Yeah, so I needed it. So she came to visit me. So again, sometimes they will come to you prior to their passing.
Yep.
Sometimes they will come.
I get them right after. Like, as soon as it happens, they come to me. I get them there. I think, did he just message? We only have 5 minutes already. Can you believe that went that fast?
Yeah, that's crazy.
God. Well, I know we could just keep going all night. You and I, we could talk for hours on it. Right. We do that anyway.
Right now.
I know. I'm so glad you got to come hang on with us this time.
Me too. I know, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. Please tell Andrea I said hello and thank you for having me on.
Well, and it's just fun. I love sharing your magic with everybody. I think it's, that's what's so important, is that we stick up for each other, that we support each other, what we're doing. And highlight the people we love in our lives. It's important.
Yeah, definitely.
Life's too damn short for anything else.
And we have to plan a trip together.
Yes, we do.
We got to go ghost hunting. Maybe we'll do something in Atlanta.
Or I need to come to Texas. My sister's in Texas.
Oh, where in Texas is she at?
She's northwest of Austin. She's in Lago Vista.
I'm still further down than that, but I can make it happen.
But it's
I
closer.
can make it happen.
It's closer than Florida.
Definitely.
I just
Maybe
gotta
we
get
can be in San Antonio.
Those are my evil fingers.
2 hours away or something like that.
Well, and like I said,
That'd be
I will
amazing.
get the links for MoonGirl's TikTok information, classes that she's offering, her social media stuff, and I will put that in Andrea's fan page. And that way everybody can find MoonGirl and her magic whenever they need it. And that was like the quickest almost 2 hours ever. We're done.
Okay, now we need to take a screenshot, and this time I'm letting you know ahead of time.
Oh, before we
Ready?
go off air?
Yes,
No,
definitely.
I love it.
Oh no! Hold on.
She does these on occasion. And Andrea will be back next week for her regularly scheduled Friday before we head up to the farm for the end of Halloween. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for tuning in with us tonight. And we will see you again next time. Have a happy rest of spooky season and an amazing Halloween. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.